Hello, Culture Matters podcast. Boy, am I excited to introduce you to our guest today for our recording number 200 in 2023. This person commented on a post when we were at 153 and said something to the effect of, I damn well be number 200 of 2023. Before I introduce them, here's a quote I picked just for this episode. God creates out of nothing. Wonderful, you say. Yes, to be sure. But he does what is still more wonderful. He makes saints out of sinners. Soren Kierkegaard. Our guest today is one of the biggest saints I know. He's a lover. He's a fighter. He's a hugger and a high fiver. He's helped countless people in his industries and outside, interviewing people, shared their gifts. A staple to the Culture Matters podcast. I introduce you, Andrew Berman.
I got nervous there. I was like, who does he know that I'm on this podcast today? Thank you for that
Welcome
beautiful
back,
introduction.
episode 200.
Yeah, I appreciate the nice extended introduction there. I am a hugger. I was just thinking about that. It's you know, I do like hugging. I like the embrace. It's just something about it. And I don't even like shaking hands. I think it's I think we should get rid of the shaking hands. I think actually, and it should be a hug when you don't need to hug someone when you see them every day. You shouldn't have to shake hands if you see them, on a regular basis. Handshake is like a deal, like and the hug should be actually, when I haven't seen you in a long time and I appreciate you and I want to make sure actually I appreciate you and I just want to feel your energy, you feel my energy. Yeah, quick exchange. That's my here to talk about the hug. But saints out of sinners.
What comes to mind?
Probably a lot about my life.
This quote is hitting me this week. I've just been, the other day it popped up and I thought, damn, that's a strong argument.
Yeah.
Because basically can get away with whatever the hell I want. Or can
Well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Christianity is based on that. Like, like your basic or all religions. I mean, Judaism too. I mean, but it's if you think about it, like every year we get to atone for our sins in Judaism, and it's basically so I forget where I heard this joke, but they compared Roman Catholics where they on a weekly basis they go for confession, for ask for forgiveness, and Jews just go once a year. So even on our sins we're paying wholesale.
I?
Yes, you know what it comes down to. It comes down to something that I tell myself all the time, that that came from a conversation that we had, that basically, if you don't look, if your future self doesn't look at your current self as an asshole, you haven't progressed.
Wow.
And it's something that like I I tell myself this on a regular basis. And actually, I was just listening to another podcast recently. Um, and I was a newer version of that was basically your future self should be embarrassed by your current self. Like as great as you are today, and as awesome as you might be today, your future self is gonna be like, remember that the myself in 2023. I thought I was awesome. I thought I was on top of the world, and then your future self will look back. That was funny. That's cute.
What do you think is so powerful about that idea?
That you have to constantly be just growing. You have to constantly every day be better than the previous day, or every month. Maybe not every day. Maybe actually today is going to be a shittier day than yesterday because yesterday was just amazing. But you need to keep growing. You just need to keep moving and keep finding ways to grow and improve. And I mean, it's basically going. That's so I hear going from sinner to saint. I feel like that's what it makes me feel is that while I might have been guilty of past sins, those sins are not part of my life today. And while next year I might my future sainthood might look at my current self, sins, my current sins as sins. So
Hmm.
but what? So I got to ask you. So you saw that quote. It hit you. You're the one actually that like what did you feel from it when you read it?
It's it's I'm going to read it again. So God creates out of nothing. Wonderful, you say. Yes, to be sure. But he does what is still more wonderful. He makes saints out of sinners. Okay, I think of like algebraically, zeros in the middle. You have positive 100 on one side, negative 100 on another. So from nothing to something, that could be like positive 0 to 100, right? 0 to positive 100. So that's 100 units of energy. If I'm at 0 and then I go to negative 100, I had to go from negative 100 to positive 100. That's 200 units of energy, even if it's unseen. Or so I just think of it, that's what comes to mind, that to go from negative to positive is more energy. It's like my positive 100, because I was at negative 100, is another level of energy compared to someone else's positive 100 that started at 0 or 10 or negative 5 or negative 10. Because I was at negative 100, now I'm at positive 100. So I'll use an example of something that I was talking about with Dr. David Yerkes on the podcast recently that our audience will likely be able to listen to in 2027 because of how many episodes we've recorded. We were talking about the value or lack thereof of criticism of those that we don't have a relationship with. And similar diagram, if you can visualize it, be like the 0 in the middle, the positive 100, the negative 100. The people that affirm me, my friends, those that just agree with everything I'm saying right now, their feedback is falling on that positive side of the spectrum.
Okay.
My enemies, those that would have critical view of the things that I'm saying, could fall on the negative side of that spectrum. If my spectrum is, and if we shade it in the diagram, like on the right side of or on the side where it's positive, and the side where it's negative. If 100% of it's shaded in, like my only feedback is on the positive. I'm at a disequilibrium. I need more feedback on the negative side to kind of keep myself from tipping too far. So the irony is, if I only get positive feedback, I'm going to be negative. If I only get negative feedback, I must be super positive to get out of that hell. But that super positivity creates another hell. So those are
So give me like a real world
I'll
example.
show you like a
So I can.
visual of this.
Okay.
Maybe even a real world
Yeah.
example would be
Yeah.
if
That's.
and there's a quote that comes to mind. Something to the effect of, I need to be able to love my enemies and hate my friends.
Love my enemies and hate my friends. What? Really? Wow. Okay.
Let me see if I
Interesting.
can. So to answer your original question, what the saint to sinner, the sinner to saint rather. You know, it's just more energy, more love, more meaning, more potential for productivity, more value for others. If I take that negative 100 and make it positive 100, an example of that would be, I just served a 40-year term in prison, and now I decide to start a podcast and tell the whole world where that was all mistaken.
So you come out of jail, you're at 0 or you're at negative 100.
Maybe I'm at negative 10,000, but like the choice or the humility to not put it all on myself and say, the eternal, whatever it is, to cleanse my palate and say, those behaviors are done. That culture is done. There's a new culture. There's so much energy behind. You talked about that like idea of feeling shame around the person's past. That shame could be the power source to fuel a nation. That shame could be the power source to get up on the treadmill at 3 a.m. and then write that book, and then go do that podcast, and then go serve that customer. That shame could be the fuel to start a nation, to start a business, to start a family, to be a righteous person, to be the parent or the mentor that one at one point didn't have. So that inversion becomes like a bow being pulled back with the
Yeah.
arrow. And the farther it's pulled back, the farther it'll go. That's what comes to mind. And where does God come in? It's like, I guess it's like an accountability partner. It's like that's our accountability partner. Without accountability, without retribution. Someone said this last night on the podcast. Scott Einbinder, just a brilliant freaking trainer. He's like, without retribution, accountability has no effect. That he was recommending to create retribution with one's employer, of like, they don't do what they have to do. Take money out of my check. like he's like, without retribution, it means nothing.
That's called commissions based. Yeah.
Well, and if I don't, I mean, and at some level, it was deep. It was like, I could be on commission, but if I'm still not doing what I need to do, I'm taking up space in the building. I'm
Yeah.
negatively affecting the energy. I'm representing through my behaviors what not to do, which has an effect on the other people. It was a deep dive in how companies, in this case, real estate brokers, could be looking at their employees, that essentially their commission independence, and saying, you got to get the heck out of this building. You're in church sinning. That's me saying it. But like, you're in the church, you're in the pulpit sinning. Get the heck out of here.
Yeah.
A real example would be like, if I block someone on Facebook, I'm closing a feedback loop that could help me look at my thesis better. I may only want to read the positive comments.
Yeah.
So from 0 to plus 100 or 0 to negative 100, if I shade in this, because people are going to be able to see the video on YouTube. See, let's say 0 to 100%. Can you see that diagram? They're going to be able to see that on YouTube.
Yes, I can.
See, I'm 0, or this context is a potential for action. The plus 100 is Andrew. You're just saying, Jay, all this sounds great. I agree with all of it. So I'm shaded 100%. My ability to take this thought to the next level will has a relationship in myself to the next level with how much negative I can handle, contradiction to my thesis. So interpersonally, we benefit from like the critics, the haters, the condemners. So this is 0 to 100. 100% positive makes me negative. 50% shaded on the negative, and 50%, maybe that's the formula for not being a devil maker, or not being an omnipotent siloed leader, or I don't know. It's like I'm still trying to flesh this thought out. But what do you think? And in closing,
so let me understand. So if you're at 0 and everyone's saying you're the bomb, love you, you're amazing, that brings you to 100%, right? And like that would bring you to 100%. That's not as powerful as if you have all haters, or you have actually haters who are being your biggest critics, that bring you down to 50%, or maybe as deep as 100%. And then you get to 100%. So then you're actually traversing 200%, 200 points.
yeah. Well, I'm saying yes in this spirit that first of all, we're all going into a context, like a conversation about a topic or a subject, or some kind of problem we're looking to solve with all of our lived experience. So we're not at 0. We're somewhere between negative forever and positive whatever.
Yeah.
As individuals, then you have the context of whatever you're doing. Oh, I'm doing this new thing for the first time, or oh, I'm a master at this. So, but there's some level of positive information, or information we're considering positive, information we're considering negative, because there's a perceptual, relational aspect to information.
Interesting.
And so how we navigate that feedback of information has an effect on us as individuals and our capacity to be people.
So that scale is really more about our perception more than anything, and how we're perceiving the feedback than the actual real whatever the people who are giving that feedback meant. It's just our perception more than anything.
I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure this out, but it's trying to flush this out. Yeah, like as ultimately, if I'm at 0 and there's negative 100, positive 100, and the positive and negative is feedback, and I'm siloing myself to not accepting any negative units of energy towards me, only positive, then I'm making a psychological argument that I'm actually negative. I'm in a state of negativity. I've embodied negativity at such a depth that I can only handle what I perceive as positive. And therefore, it's actually me that's in a state of constant negativity. And culture is exacerbating this, or it does by nature. And somewhere along with this, like, so like the person that, maybe as the quote, the person that dogmatically considers themselves as saying, like, I'm a good person, is likely someone I wouldn't want to be in a concentration camp with. And we will see you next time on the Culture Matters podcast.